Okay, level with me. Have you ever been in that situation where you've been worried, and you get to the end of the situation and you say to your person, to your bestie, to your partner, to your mum, I didn't need to worry. Everything was fine. Yes, my friend, you have, haven't you? Okay, and then this meme came up on Instagram. It was actually ages ago, but I remember it vividly. It was like, so guys, I just did that thing that I have had on my list to do for like 5 months now. It took me 2 minutes to do, and now my life is so much better and easier. I will learn nothing from this. And that is what we do with our worry. I see people do it time and time again. They get to this realization they didn't need to worry. And with that, they're saying the worry didn't really add anything, right? There was only a net negative of the worry. All that worrying wasn't needed because it was going to turn out okay anyway. All that worrying only cost you energy, brain space, time, your cheerful, positive, otherwise happy affect and enjoyment of the world. And yet you will learn nothing from this. And in the next situation, even when you know you don't have any control, you will resort to worrying while you wait instead of surrendering while you wait. So let's sit together now and break this cycle together. Scenario 1, you worried and you worried and you worried. In this situation where you were powerless to change the outcome. And at the end of the situation, the outcome was good. You didn't need to worry. Scenario 2, you worried and you worried and you worried. And at the end, when the outcome came to be, it was bad. Did you need to worry here? In either case, did worrying add anything? What did worrying give you? And here in this question, and actually genuinely answering this question with a level of emotional intelligence, we can get that answer and start to understand why we continue to worry even when we know it's not actually offering anything positive. And if anything, it's just creating a net negative, i.e. costing us that energy, time, those resources, the opportunity cost of how we would otherwise be enjoying that time. The reason is because worry feels like we're grasping at some level of control. It feels like we are doing something. In my last video, I spoke about the Shaw scale, which helped you to understand why we think negative thoughts, and more to the point, non-useful thoughts to ourselves, thoughts that actually hinder us instead of helping us. They disadvantage us instead of advantaging us. And the reason I show you in that video with the Shaw scale is because of how it makes us feel. And in this situation where we choose to worry, where we seem to subconsciously want to worry, it's because it gives us this sense of control, like we're doing something. And you can notice how powerful this is, and that you might have this thought yourself when you think about doing nothing, or more to the point, when you try to do nothing and actually think positively or simply surrender to that situation. Notice what level of anxiety that brings up in itself for you. The quote, doing nothing. Most of us feel better doing something, and the something that we do is the rumination, the thinking, the worrying in our mind. But this is, of course, just a misunderstanding. Thinking about things, worrying about things does not necessarily translate into any changing outcomes. And it certainly doesn't translate to control or creating any certainty in the situation. It just feels like it because of our misunderstandings. And notice over here in scenario 2, we get to say things like, see, I was right to worry, right? I was right to worry. And funnily enough, even when you get that undesired outcome, that bad outcome, you get this sense of satisfaction of being like, I was right. Because it gives you this sense of, I understand the world. I understand how the world works. My predictions actually align with what's true about the world. And that gives us that sense of control and with that safety that we all want. Isn't that a funny reaction? I was right to worry. I was right about that negative outcome. But just recognize it. I certainly can feel that effect, that funny paradoxical effect of being satisfied that I was right about something that I didn't want to happen. Our brain loves being right. We need to learn the difference between our feelings and facts. Just because we feel certain about something, just because something feels true, just because something feels useful, just because worrying feels useful doesn't mean it is. And this is often the argument that my doctors will give me fighting for holding on to their stress. They tell me about how useful stress is. And often my doctors try to justify how useful stress is by these archaic, outdated, contextually irrelevant understandings of the function, the point of stress and our fight or flight system. You know, telling me things like, it makes you more vigilant, it makes you focus better, it makes you more alert. But actually, what we know about acute stress is it shunts the blood away from the prefrontal cortex, the novel thinking parts of our mind, and it shunts it down into those subcortical areas that better position us for pattern behavior. You know, in these medical scenarios, we actually probably more want that high level thinking. We don't want to just react without thinking. We want to think and take in all the complexities of the situation, not to just be reactive. And there's even a misunderstanding in there, an assumption in there that stress is the only way that we can have vigilance and focus. But I don't know about you, but when I think about the optimal state that I want to be in when I'm thinking about a medical emergency is calm. I want to be calm. I want to be focused. I want to be diligent. I want to be determined, right? All of those states also give me vigilance. You can have a calm vigilance that doesn't mess with your ability to think broadly and in novel ways. All right, so stress isn't the only way that you can have alertness and vigilance. It's just an old misunderstanding, oversimplification, and overgeneralization about emotional states. Our emotional states, how certain we feel, is not a reflection of how certain we actually are, how much our thoughts correlate with what's true about the world. Our feelings, how we feel, is just confirmation of our thoughts, right? Not confirmation of reality, but of our thoughts. Our feelings, our emotions align, are congruent with what we're thinking. Sometimes our thoughts are perceiving reality accurately, and sometimes they are not. Tell me, how does it feel to be wrong about something when you think you're right? It feels like being right. If you believe you're right, you're gonna feel like you're right, but the reality can be you are wrong about the situation. You are misperceiving the situation, you are misinterpreting the situation, you are missing facts, but as long as you believe you're right, you're gonna feel that confirmation of, yes, I've got this right. It's just how our brain works. So with this video, I wanted to give you all the opportunity to start questioning if your worry actually has anything to offer, if your stress in these scenarios has anything to offer except for making you feel like you have more control, a false sense of taking control, a false sense of having more control in this situation where you do not have control. And with that, I want to challenge you to conceptualize and even test what it would be like to be in a different, say, calm, emotional state in these situations without conflating being calm or being focused with not caring, with being complacent, with not being vigilant or focused, but recognizing that there are other emotional states that might be more useful, even in situations, whether it's in situations where you do have control and you have a next decision to be made, or you don't have any control at all. If you could choose how you felt in this scenario, which you can, if you could choose how you felt, what emotion would you pick? Stress, anxiety, fear are not your only options. And I would say in most situations, they only offer you a net negative. They cost you energy, they cost you time, they make you cognitively less sharp, they reduce your performance, and guys, they don't feel very good, do they? All right, my beautiful friends, we are here questioning all these assumptions that we've made in the past about stress and anxiety and fear and uncertainty, because in Dear Darling, we are doing our immersive on uncertainty. This is our 4-week course teamed up with 4 weeks of coaching to really integrate our learnings from this topic, stable in uncertainty. How to be stable in uncertainty, so that in Dear Darling, we can decide how we want to show up in these challenging situations, especially in the uncertainty and the adversity of clinical medicine. Join us in Dear Darling if you know this is the work you need to make your life better, and we cannot wait to meet you. Link below. The group is by application only. See you guys in my next one.